disclosure, I watched this movie because it's Hugh Grant. I am shallow. What can I say? So, I also watched this movie fairly soon after it came out, 20 years ago. Hugh Grant. Shallow. I am not saying I'm not. At that time, that was 20 years ago for me, so I thought it was a very nice movie. And I thought I'd watch it again so I can tell you guys how nice this movie is. Well, I grew up also a little bit in 20 years. The movie is about a boy, and it left me wondering which of the two boys. It doesn't address that. I read up, your usual little articles in Wikipedia and stuff, and nowhere does it address that this about a boy is probably more about the Hugh Grant character. His name is Will Freeman, and not the boy whose name is Marcus Brewer. Because this boy, Marcus, is in so much, crapola that you can't expect anything from him. His life is screwed. He's just screwed. So I think basically this Marcus, the boy, the actual in age boy, goes through life pretty much as well as you can totally expect. Will Freeman? No. But I think it's making a statement because it starts with the line, "No man is an island," and Will says that to us, the viewers. And so he's saying, absolutely, I'm an island, blah, blah, blah. I'm immediately thinking of the Simon and Garfunkel song, I'm a rock. I am an island. And that's the reason in that song why he's an island is because he can't be hurt. He can't. If he just gets away from anything, puts an island. It puts a water around him. Most people with walls, but whatever. Then he can't be hurt. But it also means he can't participate in life. And this is what Will is dealing with. He cannot participate in life because he's created himself an island. His parents set him up with a Christmas song. Yes, this is a Christmas song. It's not a Christmas movie, but it's... Although, people might be watching it at Christmas. Actually, I think it's set at Christmas and the whole thing went just whoosh. And I watch a lot of Christmas movies.
But it's not about Christmas.
No, it's not. And I felt that the thing possibly spanned about a year, but it might actually have spanned maybe a couple of months, like the run up to Christmas. Honestly, whoosh. So Will has avoided dealing with everything that the boy Marcus is dealing with in life by being an island. So I can't fault him saying, hey, island living, pretty good.
Is the man Will the grown-up version of the boy Marcus?
No, not at all. No. No, and if it says about a boy, it's like, okay, this boy walks into his life. Basically, he invites this to happen because of what I consider to be the darling. This I think, when you say kill your darlings in stories, is that writer should have killed that darling and then the story would work better. The thing about Will comes up with the idea that he could date without strings single moms. So he pretends to be a single dad and makes up a kid and goes to the single parents alone together meetup group. And he does. Actually, from that moment on, his life gets flooded with people and he's no longer an island and he struggles the whole way. And of course, we as viewers know that it is better for him to not be an island and to have all these people in his life. But doesn't that basically say that somebody who decides that they don't want to do the socializing thing, that's not a legitimate option? So I have some questions with that. But basically that single parents thing that they put in, they could have just taken the whole thing out. He could have dated the one woman with the single, who was the single parent, and then she breaks up with him. Then he gets that idea of, hey, I could date more single women. I think that's the haha trope. That's the comedy in this rom-com, which this thing is not a rom-com. It's actually listed as rom-com on a lot of sites. There's nothing romantic about this movie. Nothing whatsoever.
When it came out, I don't think it was.
I didn't watch it the first time around with an idea that it had to be a rom-com.
They didn't advertise it as a rom-com.
No, but I think it is actually on various sites listed as.
Maybe because Hugh Grant.
I wrote it down actually. Romantic comedy drama. To which I put on my notes. What?
Is it romantic?
What?
Is it comedy?
No, it's not romantic. And comedy, there are some slaps. No, it's not actual slapstick, but there is this whole single parents thing that he gets into is supposed to be laugh-inducing. I suck at that. I just look at it critically. It's like, what is he doing with these women? Is he doing that okay? Is he being respectful? So it doesn't work for me. And then there's a scene where he gets Marcus some sneakers because Marcus is dealing with bullying. Again, Will, this self-proclaimed island man, has never had to deal with bullying because he made sure he wasn't around for anything. But he knew how to get out of bullying because he has this Christmas song. The Christmas song basically means that he does not need to earn money. He has money. He doesn't have to have a job. He doesn't have to do anything in this world but just breathe, watch television in the afternoon. Every once in a while, find a nice woman. Well, or probably not so nice. I don't know what his criteria are, but find a woman.
And do horizontal exercises.
Some horizontal exercises, indeed. And then dump her. And then, he preferred to be dumped by this one that he found accidentally that had a kid. And she dumps him, and he's like, oh, this is great. I now don't have to dump the women again. So the sneakers. He got the boy sneakers. He got Marcus some sneakers. And because Marcus goes to school with hippie clothing, almost hippie clothing. It's like, it's actually too much, what in Dutch we would call geitenwolle sokken. It's too much knitted, just field life rather than modern life. And that's what his mum is. His mum is not the traditional person, and that's there's the third person in this story that's really important, is the mother. She doesn't get a huge amount of screen time because the mother is the reason for how Marcus's life is shitty. And it is not her fault, and it is not his fault. It's nobody's fault because she is, I believe, not manically depressed, but she's certainly depressed to a point of non-functioning periodically, and the whole thing gets wrapped around. It starts off, not the film, but Marcus and Will's connection starts off when she attempts suicide. So now Marcus is screwed. What do we do about that? Well, Marcus is actually quite smart because he goes to the only person that is outside of his bubble. It's not school. School is being bullied. He's being bullied at school. His mother is socially difficult, and she has chronic issues, mental health issues. So he goes to this guy that he just met, and he just sits on his couch, and they watch film. They watch telly for the whole afternoon, and then he goes home. It's like that part, and that's the part I remembered, was like, oh, that was such a lovely movie because they're so kind to each other. And now, I 20 years later, I watched them going, okay, so you got two males, one of 40 and one of 12, and they sit there and they do not communicate. That sounds like a good relationship.
That was sarcastic, I hope.
Well, I think if you're gonna go there every afternoon, I think that's reasonable for 12-year-old and for 41-year-old.
Well, for the 12-year-old it's reasonable. For the 41-year-old, maybe not.
And maybe that's what the boy needs. He just needs somebody to not nag at him. That doesn't last long, but it goes on for a while, and then I think that's where the two males are unified, and they become brotherly, uncle, whatever. It's more familial. It's more in the family style. He becomes a little responsible for what's going on with this kid. So it's not about the romances or and there's absolutely never a romance with the mother. But so I would have axed that single parents storyline. I would have brought it down to a tiny bit amounts, just so that they can get to meet the two males can get to meet. Then the talent show at the end, it's lots of hijinks, and it's pretty cool. You'll probably remember it if you've seen the movie. There's some fun hijinks in it, but it still left me with like, what? Why? From Marcus's perspective, again, I can understand why he's doing it. It's filmed very clearly. He wants to show his mother that he can do the things that she appreciates in life. So he wants to go sing at the school talent show. And Will thinks he's gonna be mortally
embarrassed?
Yeah, it's gonna be mortally embarrassing. And it will be, because he's gonna sing a girly song. Because that's what his mother taught him. It's the thing. It's quite a commentary on home life, how influential that actually is in your growing up. Because he can go to a normal school, well, he's absolutely not normal. He's never going to be normal, not with that mother. There's love everywhere. There's love, the mother loves the kid loves the mother. Even Will is quite amiable, and he's in the kid's corner, because he's like, there's this confrontation between him and Fiona, the mother, and Fiona's like, what have you been going around with my kid and letting him into your home? And he's like, what are you doing with the kid? Why is he, what is it? And I thought that was interestingly sidestepped, because it could have really launched into this is very dodgy that you're spending time with an 11 or 12-year-old. And I think maybe just for the movie it was sidestepped, because in reality that could have been a big problem if they had found out that the kid was spending so much time in his house. I don't know. Depends on who finds out. I will talk a little bit about the fact that Will has no work, and that he doesn't need to get work. He's embarrassed by it. He kind of like, only when he needs to talk about it, he says, no, I don't work. Because there's a Christmas song, and I don't need to work, because there's like forever and ever there will be money from it, because it's every year they're playing it in the stores, they're playing it everywhere. Is that a commentary on what if a man doesn't have family? He also miraculously has no family. I mean, parents apparently dead. I'd assume he has no siblings. He doesn't have cousins. He doesn't have anybody. He has 2 friends. 2 married friends, and they have kids, and they're asking him, wouldn't you want to have a wife and kiddies? And he's like, no. And they don't like that either, because they're doing the kid thing, and the kid meanwhile is screaming, and like, isn't this so lovely, wouldn't you want this too? So at that point, this is the beginning of the movie, at that point, we're in his corner. We're like, no, wouldn't want that either. If it was presented to me like that, thank you very much. But I think the movie's slanting towards, if a man doesn't have anybody to care for, to take care of, or to share life with, and he doesn't have a job, who is he? Who is the man? I don't know if... I think the thing is that he doesn't have any ambitions at all. He plays a little guitar, but not to the point where he can go out, join a band. Maybe he could have, but he didn't. Island living, I guess. But so the movie is basically stating that if he doesn't have a job and if he doesn't want to have a partner and kids, that makes him a selfish person. And that's not exactly the same thing. It just depends what you do with it.
Is it a matter of toxic masculinity?
Yeah, well, which part? I mean, what part would be toxic? He literally doesn't bother anybody.
The fact that he doesn't have a work and he's being accosted over the fact that he doesn't have work.
Oh, that the world is using...
When he was, if he had been a woman,
yeah,
they would have looked at it differently.
Yeah, wouldn't they? I think they would. And he himself might also look at it differently if he was a she, or if it... Yeah. But he was okay until people started pointing stuff out to him. The rest of the time he's fine. And I don't know if we need to criticize the way people want to live. There's so many ways people want to live. There's worse things in life than a guy who doesn't bother people and has the money to do that independently and literally doesn't bother people. So, no. The ending, reasonable. I like it because I like my it's all found family then, and it looks like it's going to proceed. I don't think he's ever going to get a job. I don't think he needs to, but he's actually socializing. And then I'm going again, other than I really like it for Marcus, because Marcus is now going to have at least one stable adult in his life. And they are creating a social environment, a larger social environment, and that's great. But yeah, I don't think that Will needs to get a job. He has independent income. So many people are literally fighting to become financially independent, and here this movie is criticizing this guy who already is financially independent and doesn't. He doesn't overspend or anything. I mean, it's like there's so many things he's not doing. Why did Hugh Grant need to be so skinny for this movie? That he literally lost so many kilos for it, and I don't know what that would. Why
he actually went out and lost them for it?
I'm not sure, but it's in many write-ups on it. Is that he lost weight for this role? I don't get it.
No.
It was a success. It had a $30 million budget. I don't know where they spent it because it was literally just locations, and maybe because it was London locations.
Locations cost money.
Yeah.
And people also cost money. Hugh Grant is not cheap.
Oh yeah. Well, he would have cost something out of that budget, and then it brought in $130 million, and it's a British. I think it's British American something co-production. But Rotten Tomatoes gives it an approval rating of 93%, and that's a lot. I'm like, so the money says yay, and the Rotten Tomatoes say yay, and I'm like, there's a lot wrong with this movie. It's not. The actors are great. Oh, the boy is awesome. The mother's great. Everybody's great. What I like about the mother is she's so incredibly real. And the boy, he is downplayed because that is the better way to go. If the boy would start doing stuff over the top, then you got yourself problems.
So you liked it?
Yeah. And no. I was very disappointed because it wasn't what I remembered it. And I probably missed a whole lot the first time around. I probably just didn't pick up on lots of objectionable things to it. But the boy, played by Nicholas Hoult, he was 11 while filming. He's awesome. They gave him a really, really crap haircut. Repeatedly because he was too pretty. and he needed to not be so pretty. And I think whether he's pretty or not is, for this role, not important. But the bad haircut actually says an awful lot, because I was looking at that haircut. You get these huge close-ups of both of them. And to have a haircut that is literally at the bangs, it's not... Somebody literally just took some scissors and went, which that tells you constantly how far gone that mother is. And that, I think that's very clever. I think that's not what they intended, but that works for me. It was his breakthrough role, and later he played Beast in the X-Men film series, when he was older, of course. In 2019, he played Tolkien in the bio movie for Tolkien. I have not seen that. That apparently was not received very well, but he's done very well for himself with all sorts of stuff, so that's great. As for Hugh Grant, I do need to say Hugh Grant and Toni Collette. Toni Collette plays Fiona, the mother. They were nominated for Golden Globe and BAFTA, one or the other. And for Hugh Grant, I think what this does is because he was 41 at the time, it gets him from the leading romantic lead, bumbling Englishman, very typecast. After a while, it was super typecast, and then this is like, okay, let's break with this, and I think that's a good choice. It's a good role for him because you can see he can act. You can also see that he doesn't need to rely on the fact that he's cute. Not that it makes him less cute, because he's still cute. But he's now maturing. He's over 40, and you need to transition for your career from one time period to the next, depending on age. So he's done good for himself. I liked it. I liked it, and I think there's a lot wrong with it, but it's a good watch. Do go watch it. Don't let what I just said stop you from watching it, because it's just there's so much good about this. But there's points where I'm just like, they could have done some stuff better.
So they didn't make quite the point they should have made.
Maybe that's the thing, is what point are you making? And it's in the title. Is this about a boy who walks up to a guy because of circumstance and says, I need a stable person in my life, can you be this? I mean, of course you can't say that outright, but that's effectively the gist of it. Or is this about a guy who never had to grow up because he was protected by the royalties money that his parents left him? He is a boy who also needs to grow up. So I think it's all in the movie. It's just not stating that it is. And what I found odd is that there's no, even though a lot of these descriptions about the movie starts with immature guy, blah 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 blah, they don't talk about the fact that he is also the boy, and he's also growing up. And maybe they can do that together now. Not everybody grows up in the same speed. And so Marcus's family life really dictates who he is, how he interacts with the world, and what's going on with him, and what his problems are. And Will's is the same. He came from a stable home, but they kind of, other than permanent cash, they didn't give him anything. Which is interesting. So, yeah, watch it. Good stuff. And, enjoy. This was my opinion on this movie, and I'm sticking to it.